At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Atlanta Braves. Tuesday Night Baseball is presented by Verizon. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Verizon. Don't miss a moment of Mets baseball on the largest, most reliable 4G LTE network, only from Verizon. By Aruba Tourism. Hop a direct flight to Aruba, the island with the most sunny days in the Caribbean. By Buick. Visit tristatebuick.com and experience the new Buick for yourself. By Geico, over 75 years of savings and service. And by Hotel Transylvania 2 in theaters September 25th. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling with you tonight as the Mets play the middle game of their series against the Braves. Mets magic number down to 7 in the National League East. The Mets began their run in late July. You know the story. Kelly Johnson, Juan Uribe came over from the Braves. A week later, Yoenis Cespedes from the Tigers. But right before those moves were made, the Mets brought up Michael Conforto, whom they drafted just 15 months ago, thinking he was a hitter. Well, he's been a lot more than that for the Mets down the stretch of the season.
Well, a lot of anguish whether to bring him up or not, and they finally brought him up, and everybody knew he could hit. But this was the surprise, his defense. Not only has he shown a great glove in the outfield and left field, he's only played left field, he's shown a strong and accurate arm. He never throws to the wrong base. There's a terrific catch he made over the weekend in that Yankees series. And we know about his hitting. He's just hitting the last, 32 games, hitting .320 with 7 home runs and 15 RBIs. And they've been big hits for a young player, Gary, to come in on this stage, New York, in a stretch run, pennant race, to perform at the level he's performed is really astounding.
And probably hitting with a lot more power than the Mets expected as well. Another late addition was Addison Reed. And with the Mets bullpen fortified with the two guys at the end with Clippard and Familia, they needed that third wheel, and now they've got it.
You know, when I first saw him in Arizona, he had pitched for the White Sox before that. He really struggled with his slider. He always had a good fastball, but they tweaked it a little in Arizona. He was hot when they traded for him, and he's continued that hot pitching, torrid pitching with that good slider and always that +90 fastball. This is a guy that saved 40 games in 2013. It's always good to have those guys late in games.
As far as the Mets starting pitching is concerned, the Mets continue to shuffle their young starters. Tonight, Jacob deGrom would have started, but he's been pushed back, so Logan Verrett for the third time gets the call to fill in.
Can you make the argument that Logan Verrett pitched the biggest game for the Mets this year when he pitched on August 23rd in Colorado, a place that is death for a starting pitcher? He went 8 innings, only gave up a run on that road trip that the Mets went 8-1.
And the Mets will see another rookie, Matt Wisler, for the third time this year for Atlanta.
You know, Wisler went 8 innings against the Mets in his debut, only gave up a run. The last Brave to do that, John Smoltz in 1988.
Whistler 0-7 over his last 9 starts. He'll try and get the Braves even in the series as the Mets try and close in on the division crown. It's the Mets and the Braves. All the action coming your way tonight on SNY. The official daily fantasy partner of the New York Mets. By State Farm, tonight's State Farm agent of the game is Pat Cauley of Glendale, New York. Contact Pat at patcauley.com. And by Lexus, the first ever Lexus NX Turbo go beyond utility. The most popular way to follow the Mets' push to the postseason is with MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. Enjoy live look-ins, highlights, replay reviews, scores, StatCast, live radio broadcasts, and more. Download MLB.com at Bat for your smartphone or tablet now. Time now for your Coldwell Banker home field advantage. They moved the fences in at Citi Field this year, and lo and behold, the Mets have hit more home runs at Citi Field this year than in any other season since it opened. Just the way they drew it up on the chalkboard. 82 and counting. 5 home games to go, including tonight, when the Mets try and lower that magic number from 7. First pitch coming up. Who has been a lifesaver for the Mets on a couple of fronts this year. Filled in for Matt Harvey for a couple of starts. Tonight taking Jacob deGrom's spot in the rotation. He's allowed just 1 run in each of his first 2 starts. Here's the Braves starting lineup. Nick Markakis, who was out with a stiff neck the last couple of days, back in there. Hector Olivera as well. Jace Peterson will get the start against the right-hander, as Michael Bourne drops down to 8th in the batting order. Who had A.J. Przinsky as the Braves cleanup hitter in September when the year began?
No one did. Well, Jeep has done a great job this year presenting our starting pitchers' numbers. And Verrett, 11 games for the Mets, 2 of them starts. And those starts, he's only given up a couple of runs.
Oh, at Crane Pole.
What are they going for tonight?
QB Brooks.
Ollie Backman.
Oh.
Al Weiss.
Reyes, 7.
No.
Well, you want to go to 6 now.
Crane.
Crane.
Nick Markakis leads off against Logan Verrett. And the first pitch of the night is in for a strike, and we're underway. 25-year-old Logan Verrett left the Mets organization last winter as a Rule 5 pick to the Orioles.
Starting pitchers have a lot of fun in between starts, especially when there's like 10 days in between starts.
Slapped over the bag. Great diving stop by Wright, but he has no chance to throw out Markakis, who has himself an infield hit to start the night. Well, Wright saved a double with that diving grab.
Nice play by David, laying out there. That had a double written all over it.
Interesting, though, Markakis, who hits the ball to all fields. A shift where you have your third baseman about 10 steps off the bag. A play that's right to the position becomes a hit.
The fact that Markakis uses the whole field is why he's in the top 10 in the league in on-base percentage and third in the league in hits.
His power numbers down this year and playing 81 games in Turner Field.
Here's Hector Oliveira taking a fastball for a strike. Oliveira acquired from the Dodgers in the deadline deal. That said Alex Wood and Jim Johnson and Luis Avilan and Jose Peraza all to Los Angeles. Slowly hit. Wright will have to go to first with it and gets Oliveira for the first out as Markakis moves up.
Thought David had a shot. They get the runner, the lead runner at second. There's the Lexus Mets defense. Conforto, Cespedes, Grandi, and Flores. I'm always a little curious about Flores getting the starts every day here. I thought Tejada would get a lot more playing time at short for defense. Plawecki behind the plate gets the start tonight.
Here's Freddie Freeman, who went 0 for 4 last night. Freddie hitting .277 for the year. Red has to deal with a runner in scoring position with one out in the first. And Freeman hooks one foul.
First pitch changeup. Hard pitch to throw, Keith, on the first pitch to a hitter because you haven't established anything hard yet.
Red was in spring training with the Orioles, claimed on waivers by Texas, where he made his major league debut in April. Offered back to the Mets under Rule 5. They claimed him back in May, and he's been in the organization ever since. It's kind of a whirlwind for him. Did some good work in the bullpen for the Mets earlier in the year. Got sent down when he really didn't deserve to, but he's benefited from that and gotten these 3 starts.
Every time he's moved teams, he's gotten close to the postseason.
That's a good point. He's been with 2 first-place clubs this year. Good fastball. 1 and 2 to Freeman.
But Freeman is really uppercutting. Watch his back shoulder drop. Look at it's just a home run swing. He's having a hard time right now. Mets have been handling him. He's had a lot of injuries.
So funny when you look at this Braves team compared to what they were the last few years. They were a home run or bust team. Now Freddie Gonzalez's team has virtually no home run power.
I honestly like their team in the beginning of the year when they didn't hit a lot of home runs. They were a good 2-strike hitting club. They were feisty. But a lot of those players now have been traded away.
And Verrett fires the fastball by Freddie Freeman for his first strikeout. 2 out.
See the frustration in Freeman's eyes. That's a ball I like to crush down in the strike zone. That's where he likes it, and he's been swinging right through it. And he's going, "What? I got to rethink this." Back to the chalkboard.
So 2 out. Markakis still at second. Here's A.J. Pierzynski, 2 for 4 last night, hitting .294 for the year at age 38.
By the way, that game in Washington is underway, Gary.
Yes, it is.
Oh, rain delay tonight.
Orioles and the Nats. Gio Gonzalez pitching for Washington. Ubaldo Jimenez for Baltimore. No score in the bottom of the first.
I hope the Nationals, the players, enjoyed the broadcast last night.
I think they would have enjoyed it more if it wasn't 4-0 Mets.
We did say hello to them. Pierzynski hits one foul. I hope they're not watching tonight.
They got some work to do themselves.
Yes, they do.
I was going to advise them if they're playing cards and playing hearts, hang on to that queen of spades as long as you can.
You like to shoot the moon, huh?
I like holding 13 points.
I'll remember that next time I play with you.
Rhett's last outing was his start against the Marlins 8 days ago. Went just 5 innings and 63 pitches in that outing. And no decision for him. And it's rolled down to first. Easy play for Duda. And he takes care of Pierzynski to end the inning. So a leadoff infield hit for Rhett. Maneuvers around that. Mets come to bat in the bottom of the first with no score. Your Geico Mets starting lineup tonight: David Wright in the 2-hole. Yoenis Cespedes sitting cleanup. Terry Collins said he might go with that batting order for a while. Travis d'Arnaud the night off. He's been struggling lately. So Kevin Plawecki gets the start behind the plate. That's trying to beat the Braves for the 6th straight time, and they'll go up against the rookie right-hander Matt Wisler.
Well, those are his Toyota numbers. They're not pretty, but this young man was the #1 prospect of the San Diego Padres. Traded for Craig Kimbrell and Melvin Upton Jr. along with Cameron Maybin. So getting a lot of experience here with the Bravos.
Made his major league debut against the Mets in June. Pitched very well. Pitched pretty well the last time he faced them 11 days ago. Gave up 2 runs in 6 innings, but lost the game 5-1. Curtis Granderson leads off. Curtis had what has become a typical Granderson night last night, a hit and 2 walks, so he was on base 3 times out of 5. In fact, the last 15 games he has a .500 on base percentage. That's how frequently he has been getting on. And Wisler immediately behind him.
Did you see Pierzynski right away? He was like, come on, throw the ball right to me. Throw some strikes right here after only 2 pitches. Whoa.
And there's a strike. It's that veteran influence.
Sometimes you need to give a young pitcher a little kick.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally agree.
David Wright and Daniel Murphy to follow, and now Wisler behind on Granderson 3-1. Curtis has now drawn 88 walks this year, 77 of them from the first spot in the batting order, which is only 2 shy of a Mets club record. Hits this one out to center field, and measuring it is Bourne, and that's the first out. Ricky Henderson in 1999 for the Mets drew 79 walks out of the leadoff spot, and Granderson now has 77.
Rico, what was he, about 50 then?
Oh, Coors Light Brave defense. Almost forgot. Markakis, Bourne, and Swisher. Infield. Oliveira gets the start at 3rd. Peterson back in the lineup at 2nd. And Pierzynski, the cleanup hitter, as Gary made note.
I believe, Ronnie, as the story goes, Ricky had tenure.
Well,
Rico.
It's really apropos, the greatest leadoff hitter in history of the game.
Ricky was the only player.
David Wright hits one well to right center field, chasing Bourne back near the wall. It's out of here! David Wright gets the Mets started with his 4th home run of the season. That is a classic David Wright right center field home run.
I feel like we're back at the Big Shea when I see that.
Well, that is very promising. David has been showing signs of getting it together, and this is, you'll love to see that ball is in her half. And that's how strong he is to hit that line drive over the 380 spot in right center field.
Birthday present for Bob Guerin, who turned 54 today. David Wright supplies him with the gift. That Met home run means $2,000 for an NYC community partner, courtesy of Citi. Oh, 0-2 to Daniel Murphy. That home run that David Wright just hit, his first opposite field home run since 2013.
Wow.
Went all of last year and the little that he's played this year without hitting an opposite field home run.
I mean, and why that is, to me, so remarkable is that when we first started this job 10 years ago, his power was to right center. Well, I always thought of having tremendous, not Mike Piazza power to right center, but kind of like that hitter.
So Whistler gets tagged early. And Murphy tries to hold the swing and stopped it in time. Fielding Colbrook threw the call. 1-2.
I know how Fielding's knee is doing today.
Yeah, really. Ooh.
Took that direct hit from the first pitch thrown in the major league career of Dan Winkler last night. Winkler was just beside himself about it after the game. That's driven to deep right center field, headed back toward the wall and off the fence. Murphy digging for second and in standing with a long double. 35th double of the year for Daniel Murphy.
Well, wanted the ball in out over the plate, and Mets off to a quick start. The G and Geico.
You know, people ask all the time, you know, this kid throws hard, you know, why does he get hit so hard? Because he can't throw the spots yet. He doesn't have control of his fastball. Brzezinski wanted it up and in, which is a Achilles heel for Murphy, was right down the middle.
For Daniel Murphy, his 225th career double, which ties him with Ed Kranepool for second behind David Wright on the Mets all-time doubles list. So that's two Ed Kranepool mentions already tonight. We're only in the first inning.
Crane has a frown as we speak.
Here's Cespedes, who had a breakout night last night.
Well, no one's going to get Kranepool's all-time hits at Shea Stadium.
Well, I saw Eddie today, so he is here in the ballpark.
Been around a lot these last few weeks. Cespedes 3 for 4 last night with a pair of doubles. He now has 41 doubles for the year and 81 extra base hits. Good slider by Whistler, and it's 0-2.
It's a good breaking pitch here. Starts right down the middle. What can he do 0-2? That's the key for young pitchers. Do you have a purpose pitch? Can you spot a fastball? Don't overthrow.
Murphy at second and 1 out. And Cespedes chases for strike 3. And that's the second out of the inning. So Whistler went right back with the slider a little further away.
Out of the strike zone, didn't have to throw a strike. Ahead in the count 0-2.
Well, when he first came to the Mets, we saw a lot of pitchers throwing high fastballs against Cespedes. He's gotten better after laying out that. Now they've gone to the slider in the dirt.
Well, here's Duda, whom the Braves pitched around a couple of times last night. They intentionally walked him twice with first base open. They're going to pitch to him here with Wilmer Flores on deck. Duda 6 for 36 since coming off the disabled list. Still trying to get his bearings. And a nice paint of the inside corner by Whistler, 0-1. Just back to your point about David Wright and his opposite field power, Ronnie. Yeah. 234 career home runs, 61 to the opposite field.
Tremendous number. 1/4.
But his first since the end of 2013 tonight. Duda gets jammed and pops it up, and Simmons takes charge. That ends the inning, but a good start for the Mets thanks to the captain. David Wright jumping on the first pitch he sees from Matt Whistler, his 4th home run of the season. And that hands Logan Verrett a 1-0 lead after 1 at Citi Field. Mets with a 1-0 lead as we start the second at Citi Field. Logan Verrett worked around a leadoff hit in the first inning. He'll face Nick Swisher to start the second. It's been a rough go for Swisher this year at age 34. Started in Cleveland, finishing in Atlanta. Injuries early in the year, lack of production. 197 at bats overall, hitting just .208 with 5 home runs. And he still gazes heavenward before every pitch.
Yeah. Well, his best seasons of late were as a Yankee in Yankee Stadium with that short porch. There's Chase Peterson. I know he's dropped off a lot, but I do like him as a player. Peterson.
Peterson?
Yes.
Yeah, he got off to a great start this year. Boy, when we saw the Braves in June, he looked like he was going to have an all-star kind of a year.
There's some second basemen around the National League that are going to be pretty good. Peterson's going to be good. Spangenberg, I think, for San Diego is going to be pretty good.
The second baseman in the league now is in Miami.
D. Gordon. Dilson Herrera is around the corner. I mean, next year is his year to figure it out.
It'll be interesting to see if he gets that opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, Herrera went back down AAA and didn't hold his dauber, get his dauber down. He hit 300 again, well over 300.
Well, so much of it depends on what the Mets decide to do with Wilmer Flores.
Yes.
If they value Wilmer, they should put him at his best position, which is second base. If not, I don't know. I mean, it would be hard to envision the Mets coming back next year with Flores again as the starting shortstop.
The question about Herrera is going to be his offense. He's hit in the minor leagues.
Swisher lofts one to right. In comes Granderson. 1 out.
We had an interview last night with Cicchini. How far is he away, Gary? If you had to make a guess.
That's a good question. He had a very good year in AA this year.
He's still got to play AAA. It's very rare a guy like Conforto who comes from AA.
College, too.
Yep.
The best Mets shortstop prospect is Ahmed Rosario.
That's right.
Who played where, in Savannah this year, or was it St. Lucie?
I thought he played in Savannah. Could
so
be wrong.
He's still 2 or 3 years away, but everybody in baseball says that he is a Reyes type can't miss prospect. Jace Peterson lifts one to center field. Now Cespedes barely has to move. 2 out. You can place a deposit on your 2016 full or partial ticket plan today and guarantee yourself access to Mets 2015 postseason tickets. Purchase tickets online at Mets.com/deposits.
Where's the Mets' Carlos Correa?
Maybe that's Ahmed Rosario.
There you go.
Rosario, we're told, was at St. Lucie this year. So you figure Binghamton next year and maybe 2 years from now on a chance to be in the big leagues. So all of that goes into the Mets planning. You know, if they really believe that Rosario is the guy, they're not going to go out and pick up a shortstop for 3 or 4 years.
Right.
They'd rather go with a shorter term solution, whatever that might be. Braves are set at shortstop for a long time with this guy, Andrelton Simmons, who is signed through 2020. He and Freddie Freeman are the guys that they'd locked up for the long term.
I just don't know about that kind of long-term contract. I don't like anything over 5 years.
You would have liked it if you're still playing.
Oh, of course.
It's all a matter of perspective.
But I don't like 7-year deals. I do not.
I'll think of the one out in Los Angeles with Pujols.
I can think of a few more.
Yep.
The Joey Votto contract in Cincinnati.
Votto's killing it this year.
In the second half.
Yeah.
But
horses are out of the barns by the second half.
Well, in Washington, the Orioles have scored 2 in the top of the second off Gio Gonzalez. Baltimore 2, Washington nothing. And that half inning is now over. They go to the bottom of the second. 1-2 to Simmons with 2 out and nobody on. Right back to Verrett. He didn't know where it was. Now he does. And the side retired. Verrett takes a shot, makes the play. 6 in a row retired by Verrett. Flores will lead off against Matt Wisler, who gave up a David Wright home run in the first. Flores 1 for 3 last night. It'll be Flores, Conforto, and Plawecki for the Mets in the second. The Mets, with their win last night, are now 11-6 against the Braves this year. That's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Do you know that the Mets have never beaten the Braves more than 11 times in a season? Now, if you think back, for years the Braves were in the West, the Mets were in the East, only played 12 times a year. But for the last 20 years now, the Mets and Braves have been in the same division.
We beat the Braves 11 times one year, 85 or 87.
Well,
right.
We used to give them their lunch in the 80s.
Right. They were terrible, but you only played 12 a year, so
Yeah.
you weren't likely to win more than 11. But they've played 18 or 19 times a year now for 2 decades, and the Mets have never won more than 11 in a season.
All you have to do is look at that record in Turner Field.
Right. So they've got a chance tonight to do something they've never done before. Up the middle and a base hit for Flores, despite the backheel attempt by Whistler. So Flores on a 0-2 pitch picks up a base hit.
Slider.
Carlos Torres is going to have to work with Whistler. That was a vain attempt.
Flores, watch his follow through, folks. After contact. No follow through. It's like a slap. I don't like Wilmer doing that. I like Wilmer taking a full swing.
Even on 0-2?
Well, that kind of follow throughs, that's a half a swing. I mean, it's effective. That's what Wilmer does and does well. But I'd like to have him take a full follow through.
Now Michael Conforto homered last night, went 1 for 4. Whistler throws his best fastball tonight.
And here's the swing from the side. Now everything's fine. Makes the contact and just doesn't even hardly break his wrist.
Now, how does that compare with what, say, Chase Utley does when he cuts off?
Chase Utley comes much more bigger follow through. Even though he has a very compact follow through, that's not even close.
1-1 to Conforto.
Conforto's success is his knowledge of the strike zone. Doesn't swing at a lot of bad pitches, a lot of tough breaking balls in the dirt. He doesn't chase. He's got a great eye. It forces the pitcher to have to come after him with strikes.
Pops this one up. And Simmons there to play it. Thinking maybe you could get Flores straying off first.
Maybe.
If you're not paying attention with Simmons, he loves to throw that ball around the diamond.
So 1 out and 1 on. Now Kevin Plawecki started Saturday against the Yankees, went 0 for 3, and right back in there 3 days later because Travis d'Arnaud right now just can't get out of his own way at the plate. Travis 0 for his last 17, so he gets the night off.
Remember, he had a long stretch of good hitting, and just your hot streaks can't last forever. Got to cool down.
Terry was asked today what's wrong with d'Arnaud. He said he's not getting any hits. Kind of made it pretty easy.
I love those questions.
Right?
What do you think? You're going to hit all year long? Very few guys have had seasons where they hit 300 for 6 months of the year, April through September. The great hitters can. You're going to have your ebbs and flows. He'll be fine.
Maybe he got the whammy put on him by that strange question Terry was asked yesterday.
Oh,
d'Arnaud's MVP chances.
it wasn't that he was asked. He was asked 3 different times by the same dude. I mean, after a while, you just wanted to take the mic and throw it at him.
Was it one of the regulars?
I don't know who it was.
It was a very vocal irregular.
From out in the boondocks.
Logan Verrett on deck. Whistler's been getting ahead of virtually every hitter. He's 0-2 on Plawecki. And goes low and away, 1-2. Nobody started more games behind the plate this year for the Mets than Kevin Plawecki. This is his 64th start. d'Arnaud had the 2 long stretches on the DL.
He's done admirably. He throws well defensively. He's a good thrower. And he got thrown into it, and he held up okay. He had his ups and downs, but I thought he did a terrific job.
Goes down swinging. Now, remember, Plawecki had that stretch earlier this year where he had vertigo-like symptoms.
Yeah.
He was playing the fog for 2 or 3 weeks. But when you look at his overall offensive season, Keith, what do you see? I mean, the numbers obviously aren't particularly good, but do you see a guy who's going to be able to have success as a hitter at the major league level?
Well, he's got 220 at bats, Gare, and only had 2 home runs, drove in 20 runs. He started throwing a little bit of the wrinkle. He had a little trouble with the wrinkle. That's what I noticed, and that's something you can work on. He, like you said, the vertigo probably didn't help, but he's got things to work on. I thought he really focused on his defense. I thought his defense came a long way.
I think, don't forget, when the Mets were pitching their best, night in and night out, he was the catcher.
Milwaukee does best when he uses, like everybody, it's no great secret, and he goes to right center field. That's when he does his best, when he starts pulling too much, and that's why you get the breaking ball gets you trouble.
Hard thing to do, though, as a rookie, is to be able to take in all that information and catch defensively and then take an effective at-bat every night, or 4 at-bats every night.
So if you get a kid who's had the kind of season Plawecki's had and wants to take the next step, what does he do in the offseason to try and get better?
Take a lot of BP. I'd work on that little curveball machine, the 2 tires, and have it throw big sweeping slow curves and hit that all winter. Learn to hit that breaking ball. It made me into a good breaking ball hitter.
Barrett goes down on strikes to end the inning. We've played 2 at Citi Field. Mets 1, Braves nothing. In 1988. That's 27 years ago, Ronnie.
Wow.
They look the same.
Looks like my son, not me.
Splitter.
That is. Go
Splitter.
That's clinched the National League East crown by the Phillies. What happened to you there?
Carter, only Gary. That's catcher's glove. He gave me a left cross. Jeez. Kid.
Can we run that back again? I want to see Keith get smoked again. That was fun.
I didn't find it.
Wait a
very
second.
amusing.
You went 9 innings?
Yeah.
9?
Yeah, they had the EMS waiting for me just in case something happened. But great memory.
4 strikeouts, put it in play. Only 1 walk. There you go.
By that time, the walks had gone away.
Michael Bourne leads off for the Braves in the 3rd inning. Trying to bunt his way on.
That was I remember the one thing about that game was only threw 100 pitches or so, but the game was 2 hours and
Here we go.
5 minutes.
Watch the left hook.
Watch this.
I cannot tell you how that irritated me. A celebratory moment, and kid gives me a left cross.
Didn't look like he did it intentionally.
It's lucky I can take a punch.
You did wince a little bit. Changeup misses to Bourne. It's 2-1. Michael Bourne came over from Cleveland on the same deal that brought Nick Swisher in early August. He's hitting 172 as a Brave in 35 games. Lifts this one to shallow right center. And Cespedes in to grab it.
Keith, one thing I remember about the end of that game, Keith, sorry, Gary, you got to read that promo first.
We'll get right back to it.
Yeah.
Check out the Jets blog for a breakdown of last night's Jets-Colts Monday night game with insider info and opinion, plus all the locker room reactions and Todd Bowles' comments on the Jets blog featured on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. What'd you ask me last night about the Jets?
Yeah.
2-0, right?
We'll just win, baby.
That's all we asked for. 5 turnovers a game, I'm sure. Win them all.
I was saying about that game, I remember one night I watched it the whole way through for a little nostalgic feel. And after the game, you and I were both interviewed by Tim McCarver, and here you are, you and I sitting in the booth.
That's
now,
right.
27 years later.
And Timmy's still going strong, too, by the way.
Oh, boy, I heard him a couple days ago. He's always been the greatest, always the best.
Doing Cardinal broadcasts these days. 2-1 to Whistler, who's 2 for 24 in his big league career. They've gone to the third in Washington, still Orioles 2, Nationals nothing. Nick Markakis on deck. Little flare into center. Cespedes coming on, but he'll have to play that one on the hop with the bare hand, which he loves to do. And that is the Braves' second hit and Matt Whistler's third big league hit.
It's almost like you get mad as an outfielder because you feel like, boy, I should have played shallow. It's the pitcher. But you can't play too shallow. You can tell he's disgusted that he wasn't able to make that play.
So after Verrett had retired 7 in a row, 1-out single for Whistler, and now Markakis, who shot one between right and the third base line, and David did a great job of saving a double. Made a diving stop. Markakis wound up with an infield single.
David not so far off that line this at bat. A little closer to third base.
Markakis gets jammed and pops one up. Is due to have a play. He does. 2 out.
One of the beautiful things of this ballpark is that if the ball goes up in the air and looks like it's going to be foul on the first base side, it blows back into play if it's high enough.
Beautiful if you're a pitcher.
Well, yeah. Still have that slant.
That's why I like having the two of you here.
Why is that?
A double slant.
You enjoy us here? I thought you didn't like us. All these years?
10 years?
I didn't know.
You finally figured that out.
Gosh.
Here's Oliveira, who grabbed out his first time up. I hope you'll stick around for a few more.
I didn't know you were going to have your Sally Field moment there. You really like me. You guys really like me. We're at 10 of 11. First pitch strikes. Just keeps pouring them in there.
He's been amazing. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. Third start now, and as was the case in the first two, just calmly in command. Bounce down to third. Fair ball for right. The long throw off the bank. Duda to make the tag on Oliveira, and that retires the side. And as we go to break, just for one more time, celebration on, and Keith takes a left cross.
Oh. Give me your best shot. Go ahead.
gear up for their Sunday matchup against the Eagles, plus a preview of tomorrow's Mets-Braves game here at Citi Field on Loudmouths, featuring Chris Carlin and TBA. Tomorrow at 5:30, only on SNY.
TBA.
Oh, they're still trying to replace Shine. They're trying to figure out who that's going to be. I still say Keith should do. Here's tonight's T-Mobile Data Strong fan photo of the game. Tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag SNY Data Strong Fan, and you can see yourself in an upcoming broadcast, just like Jessica Ann.
69-86.
That's a Met fan. By the way, speaking of 69 and 86, there was a note today in the Mets game notes that Mets starters this year have had 27 games where they did not allow a run. 27 games the Mets starter has not allowed a run. In 26 of those 27 games, the starter did not go 9 innings. So I asked our folks to do a little research on the 86 team and the 69 team and see how often that happened. There's Curtis Granderson. It happened the last 2 nights with Matt Harvey and with John Neese.
Right.
In 1969, 30 times the Mets starter did not allow a run. 10 times of those 30 he was taken out before going 9 innings.
So 20 times it went 9 or more.
In 1986, how many did we say there were total starts with no runs? But there were only 6 times that the starter was taken out before he went 9. Just to give you an idea how starting pitcher usage has evolved. I mean, it used to be a no-brainer. If you're looking on a shutout, you don't come out of the game until you're finished with the shutout.
That was like getting a medal. It really was. Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Big hand for David Wright. His home run represents the only run of this game. David's home run was his first at Citi Field this season. In fact, his first at Citi Field since last July of 2014.
And what's good about this is the ball was inner half and David using the opposite field. That's a vintage David opposite field power.
Now how we used to talk all the time about Chipper Jones's home run numbers against the Mets. David Wright's now hit 35 home runs against the Braves, more than he's hit against any other team.
It's impressive because the Braves have always had, I mean, this year is an anomaly, but they've always had good pitching, starting pitching. Crazy good relievers for so many years.
And Whistler gets the breaking ball in for strike 3 call. 4th strikeout for Matt Whistler. 2 out in the inning.
Well, he throws right at the hitter.
Yep. David freezes. He pulled the trigger. That ball's Rip City, USA. That's not the Beach Boys.
Jan and Dean.
Surf City. Or the little old lady from Pasadena. Here's Murphy, who crashed one off the fence in right center for a double his first time up. And you know you don't come back from dead man's curve.
So Whistler's showing a little two-seamer here to Murphy. And then a breaking ball.
Peterson stumbles as he makes the play, but throws out Murphy anyway to retire the side. So Whistler's retired 6 in a row. After 3, still 1-0 New York. For the Braves and leading off for us, Eamon McEnany. Eamon?
Thanks, Gary. I had a chance to talk to Addison Reed today, and he told me right now is the most fun he's ever had playing baseball, which is obviously a far cry from where he was in June when the Diamondbacks sent him down to the minors. He told me the biggest problem back then was that he had no idea where the ball was going to go when he threw it, as Freddie Freeman ropes that right to Daniel Murphy at second, 1 out away here in the inning. And he said he had no idea. He said the catcher would set up outside. He thought he was going to throw the ball outside, but the ball did not go outside. So when he said when he went down to Reno, he did some soul searching, and he also did some minor mechanical adjustments, and he said it just clicked. And obviously the stats back that up, because since July 29th, he has a 0.99 ERA. He said the biggest difference was getting better command of his off-speed pitches. And he also told me that right now he has not had to make any adjustments going from the closer to a setup role, because he said he's pitching in important games for the first time in a long time, and so that obviously replaces the adrenaline of being a closer. And he also told me, Gary, that when you come out of the bullpen in Washington, D.C. or Miami, Florida, and there are 15,000 fans chanting "Let's go Mets," it doesn't matter what inning it is, you feel the adrenaline.
He's a guy who gets it, and he got his control back in the biggest little city in the world. Whoa.
And something to remember about Addison Reed, he's only 26.
26, and he saved 40 games 2 years ago.
Nice change.
2-0 changeup from Verrett.
Good location, good sink.
AJ's mad at himself. He went out of the strike zone.
Ronnie, when you look at Logan Verrett and the success he's enjoyed, both out of the bullpen and as a starter this year, what do you see? What do you make of how successful he's been able to be so far?
I think you have to look at his whole entire season, Gary. In a nutshell, we're talking about a young, talented pitcher that you couldn't keep, so he was drafted in the Rule 5 because of all your young, talented pitchers. He was one of the guys left out. He ends up going to Baltimore, doesn't make that team, gets picked up by the Texas Rangers, doesn't pitch well there. The Mets knew they had a good player in him and got him back into their organization. And I think all of that kind of bad stuff that's happened to him now has put him in a good place to just relax and do what he does best. You know, a lot of times when you're a pitcher in an organization as everyone throws 100, which the Mets have, sometimes this is a perfect place for you, because your little dipsy doodle, your little sliders, changeups, sink it, cut it, slide it, make you a perfect different pitcher to face after they've had to face, you know, the young studs that the Mets have. Terry Leach comes to mind. In '87, I think he won 11 games.
Uncle Andy,
Rick Anderson.
Yep. Brzezinski down on strikes. Second strikeout of the night for Verrett. 2 out in the inning.
So I think it says a lot about his makeup to go all the different places he's gone, come back to an organization that's pitching rich, and still work enough and get better enough to help a ball club in any way possible. He's become versatile more than he was before.
So that leads to the next question, which is if the Mets get to October, does Verrett have a spot on this team? Is there a logical place for him on a postseason rotation or postseason staff?
Yeah, not a rotation, but I think in some strange way, especially if you go with the young guys, his battle might be with Big Bart for that bullpen. You know, who's going to be your long man if Carlos Torres is not 100% healthy?
Popped up by Swisher. In comes Conforto. Side retired. Another 1-2-3 inning for Logan Verrett. He's allowed just 2 hits over 4 scoreless innings. 1-0 New York. Washington. Don't miss a moment of Mets baseball on the largest, most reliable 4G LTE network, only from Verizon. SNY Super Slow Motion brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. Yoenis Cespedes leads off the home fourth and fouls back the first pitch slider from Matt Whistler. Cespedes struck out in the first inning. That's got their run in the first on a David Wright home run. And that's all they've gotten against Matt Whistler, who's retired the last 6. Cespedes, Duda, and Flores for the Mets in the last of the fourth. A big hack at a fastball, 96 from Whistler. 0-2.
He's got a nice easy motion.
He's got a big arm.
Sneaky.
Big arm, big kid.
They've gone to the fourth in Washington. Orioles 2, Nationals nothing.
There's not a lot of moving parts for Whistler. That's why you feel like he's going to be real successful at some point, because he's going to find that arm slot. Little raised leg. The one thing he doesn't do that much, doesn't really use his backside or his legs to push off that mound. Ends up almost standing straight up as opposed to really blowing through the catcher.
A check swing. He went around. Cespedes doesn't run to first base. And Pierzynski throws him out. Unfortunately, we've seen that more than once with Cespedes, where he has not run on a third strike.
And he's getting some jeers from the fans.
It's a common phenomenon. That was called by Manny Gonzalez, the home plate umpire. That's a common phenomenon all around baseball, is that the check swing that goes to the backstop or is in the dirt, guys don't even bother to make the catcher make the throw. You never know what can happen.
I mean, he might have been out anyway because that took a hard carom to Pierzynski, but it's just bad optics. The Braves are rearranging their shift against Lucas Duda.
Mr. Oliveira will wait for you as long as it takes you. There you go.
He wasn't sure where they wanted him to go. He's going to play in shallow right field, the third baseman. Leaving Simmons alone on the left side. Duda popped up his first time up. Lucas lifts one to left, and Swisher eases over. 2 out. 8 in a row retired by Whistler. So we showed what happened 27 years ago today, clinching the 88 division title. You know what happened 104 years ago today? The winningest pitcher in Major League history got his last win. Cy Young won his 511th game on this date in 1911.
That one will never be broken.
No.
You don't have to worry about that one.
He didn't become an award until 45 years later. Cy Young award was not granted until 1956.
By that time, the pitchers won't even get wins. It'll be a team win, and the game will be 7 innings.
Ronnie, you're becoming a very crotchety old dinosaur.
I am. Occasionally.
Like me.
2 of them now.
We can have 2. I think Gary really is not going to like us.
Flores goes down on the high fastball. Whistler looking impressive. 6 strikeouts for Whistler. He's retired 9 straight, but the Mets lead 1-0. Verrett has done the rest. Subbing for Jacob deGrom. He's allowed just 2 hits over 4 scoreless innings. Mets have not said officially yet when deGrom is going to pitch again, only that it'll be sometime in the 4-game series against the Reds that starts Thursday night. Matt Harvey will also pitch in that series at some point.
deGrom on Sunday, maybe? Who knows?
Now, that would be a full turn, right? Because
Yeah.
it's 5 days from now. Terry had said earlier that it would not be a full turn. So we'll see. All these plans are malleable.
Yes, they are.
Easily changeable.
I know that my last start before the '86 postseason started was on the Sunday of the last day of the season, and Sid Nice put up the game. I pitched 5 innings, he pitched 4. Shut out the Phillies. Sorry, Pirates.
A good tune-up for Sid's stint as a reliever in the postseason.
Yes, it was. I believe the last batter in that game, Sid struck him out. It was his 200th strikeout of the season.
Good change-up by Verrett. He's had a good one tonight.
We had a big strikeout staff, boy. You know, we got George Coney. He got even better
in '88. Yep. Well, we got him in '87, but '88 is when he had his year.
20-3.
Whoa.
Just off the plate to Peterson, 2-2.
That's a good combination. Change up away and then try to dart him outside. Do you get the call from the umpire?
No.
Good job by Manny Gonzalez.
Huh.
Peterson takes a curveball in the dirt, 3-2.
Pitcher's got to get that call. I thought it nipped it a little bit.
I think Manny, when he first came up, I wouldn't have considered him one of the better umpires in baseball. I think he is now. I think he's really improved. Testament to his hard work.
First 3-ball count of the night for Logan Verrett. And Peterson socks one to deep right field. Back goes Granderson onto the warning track, looking up, and it's out of here. Jace Peterson ties the game with his 6th home run of the year. And the Braves get even at 1.
Well, just didn't get the changeup away enough, and it was up, a little bit up. When a hitter hangs back there, he can let go with one hand, as Peterson did, and it can go a long way. You never want an up changeup. You want to keep the changeup down with a little sink action.
Well, I can tell you, I've done this 100 times myself. There's no reason with a leadoff hitter like Peterson, who has 5 home runs on the year, to throw a 3-2 changeup. Just throw anything sinking away. He can hurt you, maybe a base hit, maybe a double at the most.
Oh, we're seeing a lot of that in today's game. A lot of tricksters out there that want to trick the hitters. You can outthink yourself.
Simmons takes a strike. Well, the Braves are the least powerful team in the National League. Just their 89th home run of the season. Last in the National League. In fact, every other team in the major leagues has hit at least 13 home runs in September. The Braves now have 6. Last year when they had Justin Upton and Evan Gattis and that whole crew, it was a home run hitting unit. But Freddie Gonzalez's team, a very different type of offensive team this year. Verrett strikes out Simmons with a curveball. His 3rd strikeout of the night. So Yoenis Cespedes is out homer to the Braves this month, as have 14 other major league players. But Jace Peterson now with 6, and he's at 2 of them here at Citi Field, and 3 of them against the Mets of his 6. Here's Michael Bourne. Bourne fly to center his first time up.
I see a lot of veteran hitters here with frustrated looks on their faces. They're not hitting the pitches they used to hit. Bourne, there, his expression after that swing and a miss was, I used to hit that ball. I'm not getting there anymore. Same thing with Freddie Freeman we just saw, which
Seen a lot of frustration in the veterans.
Pitcher Whistler on deck. 1-2 from Verrett. One takes inside, 2-2.
It's the first run the starter has given up in 3 games, huh?
It's got 5 scoreless from Harvey. That's all. 6 scoreless from Neese. That's all. Number, tough play. Wright comes in to bear him, but has no play. Not sure he would have had a chance to get Bourne anyway.
No chance.
And it'll be a base hit for Bourne.
And I think David knew, normally David makes that play, but I think David knew he didn't have a shot. Bourne still runs well.
So Bourne at first with 1 out. The pitcher Whistler will come up. Whistler had a base hit his first time up. He has 2 sacrifices this year to go with 3 hits. Bourne is not the base stealer he once was, but he can still run. Twice Bourne had over 60 stolen bases in a major league season. He has 17 this year. By the way, you're talking about that final day in '86. You know who Sid struck out to end that game for his 200th strikeout? Bobby Bonilla.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice bunt.
Plawecki will handle it. 2-4 on the sacrifice. Nicely done by Whistler to get Bourne into second.
Well, we can have a really nice clinic for you kids out there watching. Plawecki, watch how he fields his ball. You catchers, all you young catchers, look how he uses 2 hands, dumps the mask. Look at him use the glove and the hand together as one. That's beautifully done. That's how you're taught.
So many things. See how he told Verrett,
Beautiful.
no, I've got it.
Very nice.
Now, Keith, explain, why do you want to use the glove on a ball that's almost stopped there? Why is it better
still
than
running.
trying to bare hand?
You're using both hands. It kind of scoops the ball into your throwing hand. It's just a safety first. 2 hands.
Just because you have enough time to do
Yeah.
it.
It's just it was very nice. I know it's a little thing, and it's just nice to see. Right there, watch Gary. The ball still scoops it right into his hand.
Whoever taught him how to make this play taught him correctly.
Very good fundies.
All those Boilermakers.
That's right. They don't only teach basketball there, you know.
Dan Worthen out to the mound, had the whole infield around him. You got Nick Markakis, a left-hand batter at the plate. Right-hand hitter Hector Olivera on deck. First base open. 1-1 game in the 5th.
Playing very much straight up on the infield and outfield. And that's the advantage of being a guy that you use the whole field. You can't be overloaded on one side defensively.
The Nats put up a run in the bottom of the 4th on a fielder's choice. And they have a couple of men on with 1 out in that inning. Baltimore 2, Washington 1. Markakis ignores the changeup, and it's 2-0. And it would appear as though the Mets are pitching around Markakis in this spot.
Yeah, 2 change-ups to see if Markakis would go out of the strike zone. Usually don't see a veteran do that, and they're going to walk him.
So after teasing him with a couple, they'll be more direct and issue the intentional walk. This will be the first walk of the night for Verrett, and they'll bring Olivera up with 2 out and 2 on.
That is the baseball equivalent to the quarterback going over the line of scrimmage and trying to hard count the defense off sides.
Usually never works.
Right.
Every once in a while.
Who used to do it great? Aikman? Was Aikman good at it? Forget. There was one guy.
One guy had a big loud voice. I know what you're talking about. He was really good at it.
So Bourne at second, Markakis at first with 2 out. Hector Olivera twice has grounded out to David Wright at third.
Boy, in the box, Olivera looks like a young Adrian Beltre, doesn't he? All wound up and, you know, closed shoulder.
Well, the Dodgers signed Olivera out of Cuba to a 6-year, $62 million contract. This is for a guy who's 30 years old, so they obviously were expecting great things from him. Never got to play for the Dodgers, and he has just gotten his feet wet with the Braves. Only 57 big league at bats. Behind 2-0. That's drilled deep center field. Cespedes takes a look, but that is long gone. A 3-run homer for Hector Olivera, his second major league home run, and the Braves go in front 4-1.
Well, fell behind 2-0, Gary. Just missed with both pitches to fall behind 2-0. And then he came in with a fastball up and out over the outer half. Mistake. And clobbered by Olivera.
Really shows you how quickly an inning can get out of control. A little simple infield hit, bunted over, pitching around Markakis, he gets to first base, and a mistake.
So 2 home runs in the inning for the Braves, and now Freddie Freeman.
Well, you play the percentages and it backfired.
Two to Freeman. Freeman has struck out and lined out to second, 0 for 2. Just got a piece of that fastball to foul back.
Boy, Freeman just doesn't look right at the plate.
Sean Gilmartin quickly to work in the Mets bullpen, with Verrett suddenly hitting the skids here in the 5th. Through 4 scoreless innings, Jace Peterson led off this inning with a home run, and now a 3-run shot by Olivera, giving the Braves the lead. And the curveball misses to Freeman, 1-2. The Nationals got just the 1 run in the 4th. They go to the 5th now in D.C. 2-1 Baltimore. 1-2 coming. Hit to center field. Cespedes has this one lined up, and that retires the side. But the Braves, who have hit fewer home runs than any team in the National League, go deep twice in the 5th inning. Jace Peterson hits his 6th of the year, and with 2 men on, Hector Olivera cranks one out, his second big league home run, and his 4-1 Braves halfway through. Get to Citi Field tomorrow to see the Mets push for the NL East title in their final game of their series against the Braves. To purchase tickets, go to Mets.com/tickets. Well, Matt Whistler, who's lost his last 7 decisions, has a 4-1 lead going to the bottom of the 5th. He's retired his last 9 batters, starting with Michael Conforto, who popped up in the 2nd.
So back-to-back for the Braves. You have a guy who's gone 0-15 over 23 starts, and a guy who hasn't won, well, 0-7 his last 7 decisions.
Well, when you have a team that's lost 26 and 30.
Yeah.
Playing Conforto kind of on the pole on the right side of the infield and left.
Line, base hit for Conforto. So the Mets trying to climb uphill, get the leadoff man on in the 5th.
Nice hitting. Fastball in. Quick. Tuck of the hands. Yes, sir. Nicely done.
So now Kevin Plawecki, who struck out his first time up. Kelly Johnson's going to come out on deck to pinch hit for Verrett. Sean Gilmartin up in the bullpen. That shot down to first. Freeman able to knock it down. He lost his glove, but he makes the play on Plawecki. A bullet off the bat of Plawecki knocked the glove right off Freddie Freeman.
Well, Freddie doesn't come off the bag here. Look at that. That ball's got to be a double down the line.
You ever had anybody knock the glove off your hand?
No.
Okay.
That doesn't happen. Not on my watch. That ball hit him in the heel. I don't think Freddie was really ready for that ball.
Chris Davis just did a home run for the Orioles.
What a second half he's having. Ka-ching. Free agent, right?
Check that. Not a home run, an RBI double for Davis.
Still ka-ching.
Yeah. 3-1 Birds in the 5th. So here's Johnson to pinch hit. Kelly played second base last night, went 1 for 4. Conforto at second and 1 out. And Johnson takes a fastball for a strike. 5th inning recap brought to you by Fidelis Care. Home runs by Peterson and Oliveira putting the Braves in front after David Wright's solo shot in the 1st. It helped the Mets to the early lead. Now Verrett out of the game after 5 with Johnson batting for him. Curtis Granderson on deck. And the backdoor breaking ball misses 1-1. Well, Verrett's night started extremely well, but he had that one rough inning in the 5th. And now the Mets trying to fight it back for him. Johnson fouls one off. 1-2. Steve Pearce has just doubled in a run for the Orioles. They now lead the Nats 4-1.
Excellent.
In the top of the 5th.
I'm not being a homer. You know, I'm not rooting for the Nationals.
I'm just snickering. There's no rhyme or reason to my snickering, but there's just some snickering.
Whistler's already struck out 6 tonight through 4 1/3. It's nothing to snicker at. Eye problem there.
Yeah, they look like a contact issue. I've had that many times before.
A little breeze blowing tonight?
Yeah.
It was tough on the contact wearers when it's a breezy night. One-two to Johnson. And he gets him. Whistler strikes out Johnson. That's 7 strikeouts now for Matt Whistler. That matches his career high.
Breaking ball out of the strike zone.
5 of the 7 on sliders by Whistler.
So 2 out. Conforto still at second, and is left to Curtis Granderson, who's flied out and grounded out tonight, 0 for 2. So the incredible strike ball ratio there for Whistler, 60 pitches, 44 strikes. That's Santana-like. Remember Santana would have those games, 80 pitches, 60 strikes, routinely.
Yes. He and Roy Halladay for Philadelphia were the 2 guys in the NL East right then that were their 30 pitches, 27 to be strikes.
Halladay have a game where he threw like 38 straight strikes or some absurdity like that?
And to beat the record of Sid Fernandez.
That's
shocking.
Almost impossible.
It's possible.
I didn't see that game. David Wright on deck. Tight to Curtis, 2-1.
Whistler pitches inside too. I like that. He uses both sides of the plate.
Oh, the elder statesman Przinsky makes sure his young pitchers pitch inside.
Granderson into right center field, but overcomes Bourne, and he's got it to end the inning. Leadoff hit. Conforto stranded. We played 5, 4-1 Atlanta. Far tonight, now trying to help themselves. They're down 4-1 as we go to the 6th inning. Sean Gilmartin will pitch in relief.
Well, see Gilmartin's numbers. He was moved into a couple of highly leveraged spots. He didn't pitch that well, but he's been really strong as their long man this year.
There's 2 batters Sunday night against the Yankees. Gave up a hit. A.J. Przinsky leads off and takes outside. So Logan Verrett went 5, allowed 4 runs, 5 hits, an intentional walk, and 3 strikeouts, 2 home runs, 74 pitches for Verrett, who is on the short side of a 4-1 score. Przinsky takes a fastball for a strike, and it's 1-1. Przinsky 0 for 2, grounded out and struck out. So are you into happenings in meaningless games?
Always.
The Tigers are playing the White Sox tonight. Tigers at the deadline picked up a young pitcher named Daniel Morris from the Blue Jays. Popped up. Flores out. Conforto in. Watch out. And it falls for a base hit. Pierzynski trying for 2. The throw to second. The tag by Murphy. And he got it. Well, Flores and Conforto avoided a collision, but they also avoided catching the ball.
Well, this is Flores' ball. He didn't call for it.
But Conforto, Johnny on the spot, able to pick it up and gun down Pierzynski at second.
Once again, Conforto showing alertness and an accurate arm.
AJ forgot he was running.
He's out.
It was a great job by Murph, laying that glove right in front of the bag, nowhere to go.
Freddie Gonzalez on the top step, thinking they might challenge, but I don't know why. It certainly looked like he slid right into the tag. And they are not going to challenge.
No, he's dead. Got him.
What is that, 6 outfield assists for Conforto? That is very impressive for a kid who's been in the big leagues less than 2 months. You know, he doesn't have the strongest arm in the world, but every throw is right on the money.
Stronger than you think.
Every throw is on the money. Doesn't throw to wrong bases. It's left field. You don't need a real strong arm. He's got plenty.
So here's Nick Swisher. So we're talking about the Tigers playing the White Sox tonight. Daniel Morris, 5 perfect innings. They took him out.
Oh. Well.
I don't know what else to say.
Well, you can paraphrase Terry.
Buck Farmer came in and pitched a 1-2-3-6, so they still have a perfect game going. 1-2 to Swisher.
All I can say is Daniel doesn't like it. The team doesn't like it.
I've heard that line before. By the way, Norris had thrown 63 pitches when they took him out of the game.
You know. Oh, well.
Just so you know, it happens other places too.
He's the cat that started with Toronto, made their ball club when they had 6 rookies make that club. And Keith, he lives in his van. During spring training, he has a van. He loves to surf and all those kind of things. He's a free spirit. Lives in his van during spring training.
No property tax.
Murphy playing in the perfect spot. Swisher carried his bat halfway to first in Cologne-esque style. And that's the second out. What was up with that? Drop the bat, Nick.
Big OUT.
So 2 out and nobody on now. Jace Peterson, who got the Atlanta offense rolling with a leadoff home run in the 5th inning that tied the game. And takes a curveball for a strike from Gilmartin. Now you want to hear about a more meaningful game?
Yes.
Last stand for the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. They scored 3 off Lance McCullers' first inning at Minute Maid Park. 40th home run for Mike Trout, and the Angels up 3-0 on the Astros.
Houston sent McCullers to AAA to try to save his pellets for the end of the year.
The Angels 4.5 out in the division, 3.5 behind Houston for the second wild card.
I'm going to Houston this weekend, guys. It'll be the first time, Keith, I get to see your pumpkins.
Yes.
You've never been in that ballpark?
Never been there.
Let's wait till you see the right field fence. I'm sorry, left field fence.
Well, it's a good thing you're getting there before they take down Tal's Hill.
That's right.
Which they're going to be doing at the end of this season.
I'm going to go walk on it just to have a feel for it. See where Beltran made the great catch.
Remember that one?
Yeah, well.
This is in the 14th inning. Breaking ball got him looking. So Gil Martin winds up with a solid inning, thanks in part to Conforto and his heads-up play. Still 4-1 Atlanta. Jaw-dropping theme parks. Stay on site at Universal's Cabana Bay Beach Resort. Plus, attend the VIP grand opening of Universal's newest dining experience, NBC Sports Grill and Brew. Just go to Facebook.com/SNY for your chance to win. David Wright leads off the home sixth. David has accounted for the only Met run tonight with a first-inning home run, his fourth of the year. Matt Whistler has given up just 2 singles since the first inning, and he has struck out 7. 0-7 with an 8.08 ERA over his last 9 starts. David pops this one up into shallow center, and Bourne comes on to get it. 1 away. Now Daniel Murphy is 1 for 2. A double off the fence in center field in the first, then he grounded out in the third. So the perfect game is over for the Tigers. Ian Kroll came in to pitch the 7th and walked a guy.
Ian Kroll, who started his career with the Nationals,
right.
Left-hander.
Down the right field line, headed toward the corner. That ball is going to drop in and hop over the fence for a ground rule double. And thus Daniel Murphy passes Ed Kranepool and now is in sole possession of second place on the Mets all-time doubles list.
Very nice. Congrats. Slider down and over the middle. Don't do that with Daniel Murphy. He'll do that to you.
Remember Daniel yesterday with the big 2-out RBI double? Same little changeup. This one a little curveball. He hits it opposite of the defense.
So the Mets have their 5th hit of the night.
Okay.
And now Cespedes, who's been up twice and struck out both times. And there's Daniel's new position in front of Ed Kranepool, second place.
Looks very confrontational in that picture.
Cespedes is just starting too quick on that breaking ball. You see his shoulder flying out.
Remember when he was red hot, he was using right center field.
Murphy at second and 1 out. Cespedes in the air to right field. Pretty well hit, but playable for Markakis. That's the second out, and Murphy will go to third.
Right idea, just got under it. Inner half. Much like the same pitch that David hit the home run on the first at bat. Same idea that Cespedes had, and that's a pitch he like to see him working that right center field. That'll get him out of his slump, even though he got 3 hits last night.
So 2 out, Murphy at third, and here's Duda, who's popped up twice. Duda now 6 for 38 since coming off the disabled list. And it goes without saying, Duda has got to get it going in the next 10 days. Otherwise, Mets might have to make other plans for his spot in the postseason. Assuming they get there. Got plenty of options.
Yeah, they got a little left-hander out there that'll start the first game, don't they?
I meant against the right-handers. I mean,
yeah,
you can play Murphy at first and Johnson at second if Duda's not going to hit. He gets under this one to right field, and Markakis is there. And that retires the side. Did he forget how many out there were? Perhaps he did. Anyway, a double and 1 left, still 4-1. Four good innings, 1 bad one. 4-1 Atlanta. Sean Gilmartin starts the second inning of relief. Andrelton Simmons 0 for 2. He's at a comebacker and struck out. Michael Bourne on deck. Then the pitcher's spot. No action in the Braves bullpen. Looks like Whistler will continue on. Line in left center. A base hit for Simmons, and that'll go all the way back to the wall. So Andrelton Simmons pulls in with a leadoff double, his 22nd double of the year.
High fastball right down the middle. Simmons a good high ball hitter. Belt high right down the pipe. Beautiful level swing.
Well, it's time now for the Verizon trivia question. If you think you can stump Gary, tweet at SNYTV with a trivia question and the answer with the hashtag Stump Gary. Who's the first Mets position player to ever pitch in a game? You know this one.
I do.
This.
They named a projection system for baseball after him.
I know it because you know it. If I know it, then I know you know it, because I only know it because you told me at some point.
Well, the amazing thing about it is it took 31 years to the Mets' 31st season, 1992, before any Met position player pitched in a game.
But think about it. All that gas they took that first year, losing 120 games, not to use a position player in one of those games.
Well, that's how all those guys lost 20 games.
Yeah. Stayed in.
Now, Bill Pecota was the first Met to pitch in a game at Three River Stadium in Pittsburgh in 1992. It was the most memorable thing Bill Pecota did as a Met.
By the way, the projections, which are named after Bill, that's not part of Bill, have been just brutal this year. Sorry, Pecota.
Not Bill.
No, not Bill. The Pecota projections.
When the Mets acquired Bill Pecota, I think they got him from Kansas City the winter before the 92 season. Jeff Torborg was the new manager of the Mets. His memorable line was, "New York is going to love Bill Pecota."
He sparkied him.
Chris Patero did.
He did. Folks at home, if you don't know what the Pecota projections are, before the season starts, they try to project each team how many wins they're going to have. And they've had a bad year. There you go. 1992, that wasn't a good year either, was it?
I've got a corollary question to that.
Okay.
See if you guys know this. I think you might know this. Who was the Mets' first pitcher ever to get a pinch hit?
Oh, come on.
You played with the guy.
Pitcher to ever get a pinch hit.
Yes, a hit as a pinch hit.
Oh,
You know what? I think I know the answer, and it's shocking because he was not a very good hitter. He made himself a
Born strikes out.
Was it George?
It was David Cohn in Montreal.
George, with that swing?
Oh, how do you do it?
Who was the manager?
Who's pitching?
Who was the manager?
Maybe they had a shift on.
I'm trying to think what year. I think it was 91. So that would have been Buddy.
Budrick.
Managing. I think it was 91. Dave checked that out. Now Whistler, who's got a single and a sacrifice tonight. And he went around in the half swing. Bottom of the sixth in Washington. Orioles 4, Nationals 1. In Detroit, Johnny Holstaff still has a no-hitter going into the 8th inning for the Tigers.
Johnny Holstaff. So what's that, the fourth pitcher?
He's used 3 so far. Tigers are batting in the bottom of the 7th. That's a scoreless game.
Oh. It's a great name for September baseball, isn't it? Johnny Holstaff.
How come every September, everybody in the game, from managers to media, has the same conversation about how ridiculous it is for teams to have 38, 40 players if Whistler strikes out, and nothing ever happens?
I don't know that.
You get more and more, it seems like, every year. What was that game, Gary, that they used how many players just recently?
Oh, right, that Dodgers Rockies game. They used 56?
I thought it was 58.
I mean, the Players Association loves it, right?
Well, but you could still have guys called up, but limit the in each game roster to 25. That's the way you play the game all year.
I agree.
I mean, you'd still have 3 extra players or 4 extra players because you wouldn't put your other starters on that 25-man list, but it's so logical. Why does that never happen? I mean, why are you changing your game in September?
Well, they want to change everything else about the game and the things that really make sense.
So you're saying take 4 guys off the rotation so you can use a roster of
Well, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah,
choose
3,
whatever
whatever.
25 you want
Okay.
for a particular game, even if you have 38 guys in your clubhouse. 25 are eligible. They do that in hockey.
They do. They do. I agree.
I mean, why couldn't you do that in baseball? And then you're playing the same game in September that you played the other 5 months.
Buck Showalter.
And yet you still can reward guys with September call-ups.
Buck Showalter always says the same thing. There's 4 different kinds of baseball. Preseason, spring training, regular season, September baseball, postseason baseball. 4 entirely different games.
Well, you get teams that win postseason berth based on this 40-man system, and then they have to play 25 in October.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. It's never made any sense. And it seems as though teams are calling them more players than ever. And the managers, most of them hate it.
Yeah.
Out to left center. Conforto ranging over with Cespedes, and Conforto makes the grab to retire the side. So Gilmartin works around a leadoff double. 7th inning stretch time with the Braves up 4-1. For his 15th win against Williams Perez. 6 o'clock the coverage tomorrow night right here on SNY. Mets down 4-1 as they come up in the bottom of the 7th against Matt Whistler, who's been terrific tonight. Wilmer Flores bluffing a bunt and taking a strike. There are your city probables for tomorrow. Bartolo's been the Mets' best pitcher coming down the stretch of the season.
Didn't Williams Perez have a 5-inning or so no-no against the Yanks recently? Maybe his last start? That up. Thought he was very good last time out.
He's got some talent, that's for sure. Flores 1 for 2 tonight. Conforto and Plawecki to follow. And Wilmer lays off the slider. 1-2. After tomorrow's game, the Mets head out on their final road trip of the season to Cincinnati and to Philadelphia. And news out of Philadelphia today that their interim manager, Pete Mackanin, is no longer the interim manager.
Good for him.
He's been signed to a contract for next year.
It's a good baseball man. Good for him.
Clearly, they have been a little more energetic since Mackanin took over.
Well, Andy McPhail, who has taken over or part of the club now, has said that his relationship with the players has greatly improved after taking over for Ryan Sandberg.
I think Pete has a little more fun.
Yeah.
He speaks Spanish, which works in his favor. There's your Mets' remaining schedule. 4 with the Reds, 3 with the Phillies, then back home for 3 with the Nats to close out the season. And did you see what Pete did the other day? He took Odubel Herrera out of the game in the middle of the game for pouting. He said, "This is not Little League. We are men. We don't pout." 2 days later, he gets the job full time. Wonder if there's any relationship. Off the fist, Freeman with a slide, can't get to it.
I remember having a conversation earlier in the year with Terry, and he was talking about the game and the change of the game. Yeah. And McCann and him had talked, and McCann said, "I think I'm ready to get out of the game. I'm ready to bag it." And right off into the sunset, and here he is managing.
Those guys are great friends. They managed against each other in the minor leagues.
Right.
So Hansel Robles up in the Mets bullpen. Flores lifts one to right center. Easy for Markakis. 1 out. The Mets hit a couple of rockets against Whistler in the first inning. David Wright hit a home run. Murphy doubled off the wall, but haven't been that many good swings against Whistler since.
Conforto had a nice base hit in the 5th, his second at bat, and bullet to right field. Merce had the one beat on him. That is 2 for 3.
Mets have managed just 5 hits tonight. Braves got all their runs in the 5th on a couple of home runs.
8 of his 19 outs have come in the air. This is a good park to do it in.
Mixing a changeup there to get ahead of Conforto. Just 23 years old. He only turned 23 last week. Whistler is from Bryan, Ohio. He was all set to go to Ohio State when the Padres drafted him in the 7th round in 2011. And he opted to sign rather than be a Buckeye, and in the big leagues this year at age 22, now 23. That's hooked into right field, but right at Markakis, who dives to make the catch. 2 out.
Well, he's got gold out there, Markakis.
Nice play coming in on the dive. Had it all the way. When you got a good glove, these plays, you get there, you'll make. They make the play. Nice.
It's 4 consecutive putouts for Markakis in right field. So 2 out and nobody on. Now Plawecki, who's 0 for 2 tonight, hit a ball hard his last time up that knocked the glove off Freddie Freeman, who was able to make the play. Kirk Neuenhuis out on deck. He'll pinch hit if Plawecki can keep the inning going. Kevin takes a slider for a strike. 1-1. 7th inning now in Washington. Orioles 4, Nationals 1. Two and 1 to Plawecki. Interesting to see Tyler Clippard off alongside Robles with the Mets down by 3 runs. Clippard pitched last night.
Whistler's got some good movement up and in on the right-handed hitters when he lets it go.
And like I've said earlier, he pitches inside.
Two out and nobody on. 2-2 to Plawecki. And he dribbles one, foul.
You see A.J. Brzezinski try to score a goal there. He's always doing something. It's funny. That's how you can play the game this long, when you can have fun playing it.
18 years for A.J.
Wow.
It's a long time for a catcher, too. That constant squatting.
Matt Marksberry, the left-hander. Peter Moylan, the right-hander, up in the Braves bullpen.
Both bespeckled.
Pulled down to third, right through the wickets on Oliveira. And Plawecki's aboard, and the inning continues. Routine play. Oliveira messed it up for a 2-out error.
Let's see where the glove is. Very lazy right there. Wow, he just
almost missed it.
Ball's over to a little over to the right.
So Oliveira, who had a 3-run homer tonight, commits his 3rd error. And now Kirk Neuenhuis will get a pinch hitting assignment. Roger McDowell out to talk to Whistler, make sure he doesn't get too upset about still being on the mound when he should be in the dugout.
Well, Whistler's first start against the Mets, he went first start debut. He went 8 innings against the Mets, trying to go 7 here. I think though this will be his last batter if he can't retire Kirk.
You got Granderson on deck. You can understand Freddie Gonzalez would be awfully hesitant to go to his bullpen. The way they've been beaten up with regularity. Mets took advantage of that bullpen for 4 days in Atlanta last week. Neuenhuis pinch hit last night and struck out. Plawecki at first and 2 out. And Kirk takes the fastball in tight. Well, they've had some great bullpens over the last decade with guys like Kimbrel and Venters and O'Flaherty. Not this year. Earlier this season they had Jason Grilli and Jim Johnson, but from the day that Grilli blew out his Achilles, their bullpen has been a shambles. They traded Johnson, traded Avilan. And now we're going with a very inexperienced group, along with the veteran Moylan. Neuenhuis fouls off the fastball, 2-1. Only 91 pitches for Whistler with 2 out in the 7th. He struck out 7 tonight. Has not walked a batter. Two and 2.
They're trying to generate some excitement here. The Mets need a spark here. Whistler has just been mowing them down.
Breaking ball gets him looking. Side retired. A career high 8 strikeouts for Matt Whistler. He's pitched 7 terrific innings tonight. The Mets have had few answers. They're down 4-1 going to the 8th. Benz Tri-State dealers.
Oh.
Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com.
I think that ball was a little bit to your right.
Hansel Robles looks for a bounce back outing as he takes them out for the 8th.
Well, first, good job by Gil Martin in this 2 innings of work. Robles in that game against the Yankees. You had the error by Murphy. You had the bunt back to him that he threw to David, who couldn't handle it, and then after that, it just got out of control. Beltran hit a 2-run double on a slider, and then Ackley with a 3-run home run.
Hector Olivera has the biggest hit in this game, a 3-run homer that gave the Braves the lead in the 5th. His second big league home run. Olivera, Freeman, and Pierzynski for the Braves in the 8th. You gotta help me with this one, Ronnie.
Yeah.
Who is Verhagen for the Tigers?
I don't know him.
He's got the reins in the no-hitter right now in the 8th.
Verhagen.
Drew Verhagen. Olivera lifts one to center field. And Cespedes puts it away, 1 out. Let's check in with the studio. CJ Papa has another game break brought to you by Ford. Cadillac drive around the majors. You know about the Orioles leading the Nationals. Seattle up on Kansas City. And the Cubs have the lead over the Brewers 2-0 in the 5th behind Jake Arrieta.
He's going for his 20th win.
Yes, he is.
Exactly. Chris Bryant has his 26th home run in that game for the Cubs. Also in that National League Central, the Pirates lead the Rockies 3-0 in the 2nd behind Jay Happ. Pittsburgh 4 games behind St. Louis and 2 games ahead of the Cubs. The Pirates can clinch a playoff berth. St. Louis is the only team in baseball that's clinched a postseason berth. Pirates can do it tonight if they win and the Giants lose. The Giants are in San Diego tonight. Pirates have already won 90 games. They have the 2nd best record in baseball. That's how it looks going into the night. St. Louis 4 up on Pittsburgh, 6 up on the Cubs, and the Pirates trying to hang on to that home field for the wild card game if they can't catch St. Louis.
It's a nice little race in that Central.
But all 3 of those teams almost assuredly will be in the postseason. Freeman goes down on strikes. Second time he struck out tonight. Freddie now 0 for 8 in the series.
I don't know if I've ever seen him swing like this. I mean, fastballs away.
It's got a hockey swing. Almost. No rotation of the hips.
So Drew Verhagen did not allow a hit in the 8th inning, and the Tigers lead 1-0 going to the bottom of the 8th with a no-hitter so far, with 4 pitchers having participated. Pierzynski to shallow left. Conforto with the dive, and he makes the catch. Michael Conforto with another sparkling defensive play.
He's doing it all. Yeah, that's a catch.
Yes, it is.
Beautiful play.
Braves were thinking about challenging, but no challenge necessary. Clearly a catch. No trap for Conforto. Still 4-1.
baseball.
Can I have a baseball, please? I've been pushing his friend's glove out of the way.
That makes him get the number 1 on the sides, 2 over the top.
Pedro Siriaco will take over at third base for the Braves as we go to the bottom of the 8th. Matt Whistler still out on the mound. 92 pitches through 7. He's allowed a run on 5 hits. Looking to snap a 7 decision losing streak over 9 starts. 4th time around the batting order now. Curtis Granderson's gone 0 for 3 tonight. Wright and Murphy to follow. If anybody gets on, Cespedes. And Whistler falls behind 2-0. They'll keep the bullpen busy for Atlanta. Whistler went 8 innings in his first career start against the Mets June 19th. And he has not thrown 8 innings since. And now he's behind Granderson 3-0.
He just wolfed Whistler right there. Let's go throw strike. I disagree with the 2-0 changeup late in the ball game. You've got Granderson has been so good at going deep in the count. He's in a position right here where a home run doesn't do any good. He's trying to work a walk or just get a base hit.
And that's ball 4. And Granderson draws his 89th walk of the season. And we'll see how much patience Freddie Gonzalez will have, and the answer is none. Here he comes. He wants the right-hander with David Wright coming up. So Whistler leaves after 7 innings plus. The side-arming Aussie Peter Moylan will come in to face Wright. Strong night for Whistler. He leaves with a 4-1 lead after 98 pitches. Call to the bullpen is brought to you by Verizon. We'll be right back to Citi Field. For the Braves this year.
Yeah, he really is. The guy from down under, the Australian, he's been a big part of this team, but has been hurt for so many seasons. So it's hard to take these numbers with a grain of salt, but he was always tough on David when he was at his best. 2 for 16 Wright off Moylan.
Wright trying to get aboard to get the tying run to the plate here in the 8th inning with Murphy and Cespedes to follow. David got the Mets off to a fast start with a first inning home run. Granderson at first, nobody out. And Wright takes the breaking ball inside for ball 1.
It's funny, Keith. You used to, almost every team had a submariner in the day. Very rare to see him nowadays.
Mets haven't had one since Chad Bradford.
Yep.
Line center field, base hit for right. Granderson pulls in at second, and the Mets will get the tying run to the plate with Murphy here in the 8th.
Good at bat for David here. Keep the ball, the wheels running, and Freddie's going to make another move. Well done. Slider went right with it.
So they'll bring in the left-hander to face Murphy. Mets trying to do some damage against the Braves bullpen again. 4-1. Mets down in the 8th. We'll be right back. He's ready.
That's great. It's like Nick Swisher.
I saw a lot of Matt Marksberry in that 4-game series in Atlanta.
Yeah, he's turned it around a little bit. He's had 6 scoreless appearances since then.
Well, Daniel Murphy, the tying run at the plate with the Mets down by 3 late in the game. Where have we heard that before?
Yes.
Murphy has 2 doubles tonight, and it takes up and away from Marksberry. Brandon Cespedes on deck. They'll keep a right-hander ready for him. Murphy 1 for 3 against Marksberry. He's got Granderson at second, right at first, and nobody out. By the way, Natali Fali is on for the 9th for the Tigers. They are 2 outs away from a combined no-hitter against the White Sox. Popped up. Simmons retreating. They called the infield firewall when the ball was almost in his glove.
Yeah.
Which is not the way the umpires are supposed to call that. And that's the first out. So it's Cespedes. We'll see if Freddie keeps the lefty in against him.
I think he will, because of Cespedes' numbers when he came over, hitting under 200, not with the Mets, but under 200 with Detroit in the American League, and the left-hander behind him in Duda. So,
and Michael Kadire is out on deck to bat for Duda.
How about that?
Edwin Jackson up in the bullpen. And Freddie's going to stick with the lefty against Cespedes. Is 0 for 3 tonight.
It's the right move.
And Marksberry backs him off the plate. The White Sox just broke up the no-hit bid. Saladino with a triple.
Yeah.
You know who that is?
Second baseman. Third base, second base.
1 out of the 9th. So much for that. Inside, 2-0 to Cespedes.
Boy, boy. The bullpen give Freddie lose some brain cells down there with his bullpen.
And we saw it in Atlanta for 4 days. They blew up every game.
Yes, they did.
Get ready in the Party City deck.
2-0 to Cespedes with 2 aboard.
Ball 3 right there, but I can't blame him for taking a rip. 2-0. Try to tie it up.
Joanna Cespedes with more extra base hits than anybody in the majors this year. That's brought to you by DraftKings. It's also more extra base hits than any Met has ever had in a season.
That's impressive.
Howard Johnson had 80. Carlos Beltran had 80. Cespedes, although not all for the Mets, has 81. Granderson at second, right at first, and 1 out. And now it's 3-1.
Very dangerous pitch here, young man.
Kadire on deck to bat for Duda. The downside to that is if they bring in the right-hander, all the Mets have left from the left side is Johnny Manel and Eric Young. They've already used Kelly Johnson and Kirk Neuenhuis. 3-1 coming. And Cespedes, it's a rocket foul. Watch out. That hurt that guy's hand.
It did.
Catch it.
I don't know what he was thinking there, but I get it. Trying to get a souvenir.
And a broken bone. Tyler Clipper, Jerry's familiar, getting ready in the Mets bullpen. One of them will pitch the top of the 9th. Rally caps are going. 3-2 coming.
Oh, vicious rip. Marksbury trying to throw a little wrinkle here, getting it over wrinkle, and he's just lucky he wasn't rubbing up a new one.
I never got one of those back.
Again, the 3-2. Too high, and the bases are loaded. So now Kadire is announced as the pinch hitter. And here comes Freddie Gonzalez, and he'll bring Edwin Jackson into the game. Tying runs are on base with 1 out. And we'll see whether Terry Collins has a response or whether he leaves Kadire in to face the right-hander.
I think he's going to leave him in.
So Kadire announces a pinch hitter for Duda. Marksbury exits. Jackson comes in. Tying runs on for the Mets. We'll be right back. comes into a mess in the 8th inning.
Well, 9 days ago, he faced the Mets in 2/3 of an inning, gave up 3 runs on 3 base on balls.
He comes in to face Michael Kadire, and why is Kadire still in? Well, he's 6 for 11 with a home run against Edwin Jackson. So Terry had that whole thing planned out, knowing exactly what the numbers were and that Kadire would stay in to face Jackson. Granderson at third, Wright at second, Cespedes at first with 1 out. Tying runs aboard with the Mets down 4-1 in the 8th. And Kadire takes a borderline strike.
Jackson appeared in 3 of the 4 games in Atlanta and gave up 5 runs. At least a run in each game.
Wilmer Flores on deck. Kadire fouls back the fastball, and it's 0-2. Michael pinch hit last night, had a base hit in the 7th inning. But finds himself behind in the count here. Granderson at third, Wright at second, Cespedes at first, 1 out. A ball and 2 strikes to Kadire.
Jackson out of the bullpen using more of a cutter than that slider.
We're down to the 9th in Washington. Orioles 4, Nationals 1. Jackson, the 4th Atlanta pitcher of the inning. 1-2. Kadire punches one into center. Overcomes Bourne, reaching out to grab it. Tagging is Granderson. He'll come in to score. It's a sacrifice fly to Kadire to cut the Braves' lead to 4-2. That run is charged to Whistler. His line is finished. 7 innings plus, 2 runs, 5 hits, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. And now Wilmer Flores bats with the tying runs on base and 2 out. Wilmer tonight 1 for 3 at a base hit back in the 2nd. Wright is on second. Cespedes at first.
Well, at least Wilmer took a vicious cut there. Go for it first pitch. Try to put the team ahead. I like it.
Catches Brzezinski on the shoulder blade. Watch the follow through. Bang.
Wilmer has a base hit in his only career at bat against Edwin Jackson. Fouls back the slider, and it's 0-2.
I like the rally caps. Very nice.
Jackson ahead 0-2. Now Flores takes one in the dirt, knocked down by Pierzynski. That's a big stop by AJ, keeping that tying run from getting to scoring position.
Yeah, he was going to backhand it and thought likewise. Otherwise, excuse me.
One-two coming, and Flores grounds one to Simmons. And the running toss on target to end the inning. The Mets settle for just 1 run in the bottom of the 8th. Then we head to the 9th with the Braves up 4-2. All right, gentlemen, Michael Kadire stays in to play first base for the Mets, and rather surprisingly, Tyler Clippard is in the game to pitch.
Yeah, I am surprised. He gave up a leadoff hit in last night's game and then had a clean inning, but just very strange. Coming off missing a few days because of a bad back and now pitching 2 days in a row, down a couple of runs. You'd think you'd have all these numbers in September. Someone could get 3 Braves out.
You got Goodell and Parnell you can use out there.
Nick Swisher leads off in the top of the ninth, 0 for 3 tonight, and takes a Clippard fastball for a strike. Well, the Braves have their closer of the moment, Arodys Vizcaino, up in the bullpen. The Mets lit him up.
Yes, they
when
did.
They faced him in Atlanta.
And maybe that's the thinking by Terry, is that the bullpen has been so bad for Atlanta. If you keep it to 2 runs, you have a chance to tie this ball game or win it in the ninth.
Clippard with a changeup gets ahead 0-2. Well, the Mets have Conforto, Plawecki, and the pitcher's spot due up in the ninth inning. Down to the bottom of the ninth in Washington. Orioles 4, Nationals 1. There's Vizcaino getting ready. Remember, he was used in non-save situations in those 2 games in Atlanta, and the Mets hit him hard, and then in a save situation in the last game wasn't available. And they tried to close it out with Moylan, and then Kelly and Murphy hit the 3-run homer to tie the game.
Kelly, that's right.
Jace Peterson on deck, then Andrelton Simmons for the Braves in the ninth. One-two from Clippard, and it's pulled into right field, a base hit. Chased toward the line by Granderson, and Swisher will get 2 bases out of this. So Nick Swisher with his first hit in the series, a leadoff double.
Changeup didn't get it away enough, and that's always get hurt. Changeup middle in. You give the hitter, particularly the left-hand hitter, a chance.
Cameron Maybin will come into pinch run for Swisher, and then stay in to tighten up the outfield defense.
Well, one thing we've seen with Clippard in the Mets uniform so far, there's some bending and not breaking, but there's very few clean innings by Tyler.
Gave up a leadoff hit last night, a leadoff hit tonight. Now Jace Peterson, who had a home run in the 5th inning that tied up this game. And he is up there to bunt.
Not a bad play. You add on a run. There's Bo Porter, third base coach.
Peterson has 7 sacrifices this year, so he's been asked to do this plenty.
Got to kill Bo Porter to see Houston doing what they're doing this year. He was a big part of that, right? That turnaround.
Peterson trying to make the third baseman handle the ball, but bunts it foul. 1-1. Coming up tonight, Geico Sports Night after the post game. Lunges and squats.
Engaging the glutes.
Carlin and glutes.
I never want to see him ever engage any glutes.
Oh my. Chris is going to do lunges. I got to see that.
And squats.
I may go to the studio for that.
Plawecki and Clippard having trouble getting together.
Thank you, Chris, for your tweets. Been the part of some of the best parts of this program all year.
1-1 to Peterson. And he pops up the bunt attempt, and Plawecki is there to grab it. 1 out.
No one at third base. Watch the infield positioning.
Pitcher's got to get over there. A little late.
Boy, if Maben had tagged up right away, he could have danced to third.
Clippard and Murphy eventually broke toward the bag at third to make sure he wouldn't. So Peterson can't get the bunt down. Maben still at second with one out. Now Simmons, who rifled a double to left center his last time up. It was against Sean Gilmartin, who gave the Mets 2 scoreless innings. Hansel Robles a 1-2 3/8. And Clippard trying to work around a leadoff double in the ninth. Simmons hits it out to right, slicing. Foul. While the former National Tyler Clippard tries to put up a 0 in the ninth here, the former Met Darren O'Day is trying to shut down the Nationals in the bottom of the ninth in D.C. Nationals just got the first batter aboard in the bottom of the ninth on an error.
Britton not available, obviously.
Well, they had an off day yesterday.
Yeah.
With the rain out, so that's a little surprising. Maben at second and one out. And Simmons gets jammed and fouls it off, and it's 0-2. Michael Bourne, the number 8 hitter, on deck. There's nobody up behind Clippard in the Mets bullpen, so this is his inning to negotiate. Pitching for a second straight day. Simmons pops one up. Plawecki coming back. And right at the screen, he makes the grab. Just enough room for Plawecki for the second out.
Well, it's never an easy play when you're near the screen. Look at him take a quick look. Finds out where the wall is. Well done.
You not only have the screen, but you got those protrusions there with the advertising and the speak and the whatever that other casing is there. It's so much more difficult for catchers these days.
You can go all year without having pop up to the catcher twice in a row.
So 2 out. Maben still at second. Here's Bourne, who's 1 for 3, an infield hit in the 5th. Adonis Garcia has come out on deck to be a pinch hitter if Bourne keeps the inning going. And Plawecki stops that one. 2-0. And Bourne hits it foul.
He was sitting on that changeup, wasn't he?
And tardy.
Yep. Waited too long.
Yep. And the ball's up in the strike zone, right down the pipe. You can see the expression, another veteran expression of, I used to kill them.
Well, when you're having a tough year, and Bourne is having a tough year. Is it disagreement? Is it a problem with the signs? What's going on with these two?
Well, I mean, really, it's two signs. It's the fastball and changeup is what he's going to feature here against Bourne. So it shouldn't be that hard.
2-1 coming, and the fastball too high. Now it's 3-1. Got the right-hand hitter Garcia on deck to pinch hit. Braves only have one left-handed bat in the dugout, and that's switch hitting Todd Cunningham.
The catcher touches all of his equipment, folks. That's really just a fake to try to put the runner off on what the sign's going to be.
And that's low ball 4. So Bourne draws a walk, and now 2 out and 2 on. And Garcia will come up to pinch hit. First Dan Worthen will visit the mound.
And recall, Gary, that it was Garcia that hit the big home run off Clippard in that series in Atlanta.
A high changeup, if I remember right, huh? Ball hit the left field.
Garcia, who started last night and went 1 for 3, has a lot of power. And a big out for Clippard to get here in the top of the ninth.
You know, when you see some 8th inning guys around the league, you see guys that come in, really blow people away. Clippard is not of that vein. You kind of get yourself out because he pitches around the strike zone.
That's the first unintentional walk by a Met pitcher tonight. 2 on and 2 out for Garcia. And he takes the fastball high. 2 out and a runner at first in the bottom of the ninth in Washington. So the Orioles 1 out away from securing that win in favor of the Mets. Lost a hand on the bat.
Right by him. So many big uppercutters in today's game.
One and 1 to Garcia.
That was a little better swing.
At least both hands down on the bat.
Yeah, right.
Hard-working inning for Clippard after giving up a leadoff double. Now a chance to get out of it. Ahead on Garcia, 1 and 2. And Garcia drives one to the gap in right center field. That'll go back to the wall. Maben will score. Bourne racing around third. He'll score easily. Garcia with a 2-run pinch hit double. Burns Clippard again. And the Braves extend their lead to 6-2 in the ninth.
Curveball, and not in a bad spot. But with 2 strikes, Garcia going right with it. And that breaks the game wide open here. This is a breaking ball down and away. Not a bad spot. Good hitting.
Still remember, he hurt Clippard the other time on a changeup. Now he hurts him on the breaking ball. The fastball he was throwing by him. Gets hurt with the pitch.
So the Braves tack on a big pair here in the ninth and lead 6-2. Now Markakis bats with 2 out and a runner at second. Markakis 1 for 3 and a walk tonight.
See, now you're in trouble. You're 20 pitches in to Clippard.
He's not in there
But tomorrow's game, he's out because you have no one up.
And I think it's getting to the point with Clippard. You know, Clippard needs a spell.
It's been a rough couple of weeks for him.
Yeah, it has.
Both in terms of performance and in terms of the back problem that he's had to deal with. One and 1 Markakis. So the Mets tomorrow will presumably have to lean on Reed and Familia late in the game. There's a good change up, 1 and 2. Clippard's ERA in August for the Mets was 0.60. In September before tonight, 6.52. And it's gotten worse from here. The game just ended in Washington. Orioles beat the Nats 4-1. The Mets' magic number is down to 6. Popped up. Flores out to call. Side retired, but not before Clippard gives up a big 2-run pinch hit double to Adonis Garcia. The magic number is reduced, but the Mets are down to their final 3 outs, down 6-2. But little of consequences happened for the Mets offense since. And they're down 6-2 as we go to the bottom of the ninth. Michael Bourne moves from center field to left field. Cameron Maybin, to pinch ran, stays in center, and Arodys Vizcaino will try and close it out for Atlanta.
Well, for all you Mets fans with your rally caps, and 2/3 of an inning when the Mets were in Atlanta, gave up 5 hits and 5 runs.
Michael Conforto leads off the last of the ninth and takes a strike. Vizcaino, who was originally property of the Yankees and then the Cubs, traded to Atlanta for Tommy La Stella in the offseason and then was hit with an 80-game suspension about the same time Henry Mejia was at the beginning of the year.
That was nasty.
He has been Atlanta's most effective reliever coming down the stretch of the season. 1-2 to Conforto, who had a base hit in the 5th and was robbed of a hit on a diving catch by Markakis in the 7th. Ruben Tejada on deck to bat for Kevin Plawecki, and then the pitcher spot behind him with Travis d'Arnaud waiting. Conforto rolls over one. Matt Whistler went the first 7 innings plus for Atlanta. He stands to snap a 7-game losing streak and get his 6th big league win. He allowed 2 runs, 5 hits, and struck out a career high 8. 3 relievers helped the Braves get through the 8th, and now Vizcaino trying to take care of the 9th in a non-save situation. But the days are dwindling and the magic number is dropping. And even though the Mets will be hard pressed to win this game, it was a successful day for them because the Nationals lost. And their magic number is down to 6 with 11 games to go after tonight.
Are we at a consensus of who we're going to decide upon? Is it Wally Backman
or Al Weiss?
Either one.
Both are worthy
Absolutely.
consideration. By the way, it's Wally's birthday today, so
Is
I think
it?
we should.
Okay, go with Wally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Wally turned 6 today, too, I think.
Maybe 56.
Conforto lays off.
Good at bat here, and this is what we see from Conforto. He gets more comfortable. His at bats, he just it impresses me every day, every at bat.
Check swing, it gets away, and Conforto didn't realize it, so Vizcaino runs it down and makes the play. Strikeout with the 1-3 putout. Not often seen. Heads up by Vizcaino.
Home plate umpire calls it. Says he went around. And see him point. Yes, you did.
Yep.
So if he runs right away.
Well, nice heads up by Vizcaino.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Ruben Tejada will bat for Kevin Plawecki.
It's an interesting move.
Tejada drew a walk as a pinch hitter in the game last night, or as a defensive replacement. Going after the first pitch.
It's a very interesting move. Pinch hitting Tejada for Plawecki.
Is it like you're getting them at bats, or I don't know?
Well, Tejada has a somewhat higher on base percentage, and you need a base runner. And
Or two.
And you're going to bat d'Arnaud anyway, so you have a catcher in the game. I guess that's.
Yeah, no, I got you.
Figure it.
This young man reminds me a little bit of, you were mentioning Neftali Feliz pitched earlier. Looks a little bit like Neftali Feliz in his delivery. Feliz was originally a Atlanta Brave before they traded him for Mark Teixeira, and he went to Texas.
One and two to Tejada. And Ruben takes high and tight. 2-2. And it's on the outside corner. Back-to-back strikeouts for Vizcaino. And the Mets are down to their final out of the night.
Well, 98-mile-an-hour gas and a late-breaking hook. It always works.
Well, Vizcaino's another one of those guys with a good arm, Ron, throws hard, got a little tight breaking ball, but command is going to be his issue.
So it's left to d'Arnaud, who has really struggled the last few days. 0 for his last 17. Got the night off tonight. Will be back in the lineup tomorrow, according to Terry Collins, who was asked whether he'd give Travis more than one night off. And the answer was no. So what appears to be the rubber game of the series tomorrow night will feature Bartolo Colon looking for his 15th win.
And his 5th against the Braves this year.
Well, he has dominated the National League East. We've talked a lot about that this year. One and one to d'Arnaud. Granderson would be next. Well, let's see. It was 9 days ago that the Mets were down by 3 runs and down to their final out with the bases empty against the Braves. Now they're down by 4 runs and down to their final out with the bases empty. And now down to their final strike. Vizcaino trying to close it out. 2-2 to d'Arnaud. And Travis lays off, full count.
Well, the hitter knows he's going to get gas attack. Vizcaino knows he's going to throw a fastball. Who wins here? Not many times you know.
Not so sure in today's game.
Really?
I like to trick people.
You got to throw a fastball.
I agree with you. He did.
97, and d'Arnaud fouls it back. Three-two, and d'Arnaud pops it up. This should do it. Freeman comes to call, and that'll do it for the Mets tonight. A 1-2-3 ninth inning for Arodys Vizcaino. Mets generate little offense. Logan Verrett gives up a couple of home runs, and the Mets fall to 3-5 on the homestand, but lower their magic number to 6 with Washington's loss as the Braves beat the Mets 6-2.
Well, Logan Verrett was very good for the first 4 innings, but gave up 4 in the 5th, so that ended his night. And not a lot of offense, Keith, for the Mets today.
The Mets have been struggling offensively. The Braves are a team they've been manhandling, and finally the Braves came through. Their bullpen kind of delivered today. They had 4 guys come out of the bullpen, not give up a run. Bright spot for the Mets, David Wright, solo home run in the first inning to the opposite field.
There's your Verizon game summary. As Matt Wisler snaps a personal 7-game losing streak. He went 7 solid innings, struck out a career high 8. But the Mets' magic number down to 6, with the Nats falling to the Orioles tonight 4-1 in D.C. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Geico, the #1 insurer in the New York market. By Citi. Learn about Citi perks at Mets.com/Citi. By the New York Lottery. Hey, you never know. By Cadillac. And by Verizon. Don't miss a moment of Mets baseball on the largest, most reliable 4G LTE network, only from Verizon. Final score tonight, the Braves 6 and the Mets 2. Rubber game of the series tomorrow night. Bartolo Colon on the mound against Williams Perez. Our coverage begins tomorrow night at 6 o'clock right here on SNY. Now for Ron Darling, Keith Hernandez, Eamon McEnany, and our entire SNY crew, I'm Gary Cohen at Citi Field. Time for WB Mason Postgame Live. Let's join Doug Williams and Nelson Figueroa.